the best ever, doing. Welcome back to the show.
Good to be back.
I love having you here. I love this documentary. Congratulations on this.
you.
Jim Henson idea, man. I just love that for a whole new generation of people, if you don't know who Jim Henson is, to see what this guy has done. He was a genius.
Absolutely remarkable. In fact, George Lucas was very close to Jim Henson, and I know George very well, worked for him a number of times, and he's a close friend.
Yeah.
And I told him I was going to work on this movie, and I said, so what are your thoughts about Jim Henson? And, you know, George doesn't say a lot, but he said, Jim Henson. He's a genius.
Oh, really?
And
George Lucas just said,
he doesn't
yeah.
throw that word around.
No, he doesn't at all. No, but he really is.
Having made the movie, undeniably,
Right now, it's
genius.
right now it's 100% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Everyone's loving it. Premiered at Cannes Film Festival. People are loving the film. It's so well done. What made you want to land on? How did you land on Jim Henson and said I should make a documentary?
Well, the opportunity came my way to have a discussion with the family, and they were a little reticent about doing a documentary about their dad. Now, they're not producers on this, but they control the estate and these amazing archives. So we had this conversation, and I learned so much about Jim, but also about them and the family. And then I saw these archives, and they're hilarious, and they're experimental, and he was cutting edge in so many ways. And you see all of it adding up to these iconic characters, and whether it's Sesame Street or the Muppets or the movies, and you just realize, wow, what a journey. And yet it's also a family story, too, underneath it. Jim and his wife Jane really created the whole thing, and it's a story of their journey. It's not everything about it goes smoothly, but it's human.
Him making Kermit the Frog out of a coat and a ping pong ball. You go, wait, what? Of course, someone has to invent this. Kermit the Frog just feels like it's already invented.
Yeah, but how about this? He did it while he was sitting vigil with his alien grandfather, and he wanted to entertain him, and so he decided to create a little hand puppet, and he turned out to be Kermit.
Did you happen to see the Muppet pipes here in our hallway?
Yeah, isn't that something?
We have these pipes in our hallway here. So the story behind this is it was the Jack Parr show was filmed here.
On this stage.
On this stage. And Jim and Frank Oz were going to be guests. They were doing a bit with a Kermit. I didn't even know it had a name yet. It was just a frog puppet. And they were just waiting to go on. And to waste time, they go, there was all these pipes in this one closet. And they go, let's just paint them. And paint eyes and put things on it and put fur around it. So they painted these pipes, and it's just been here behind a door.
But it says something about them, doesn't it? Like, if you and I had a couple hours sitting around, they said, well, the show's not coming for a couple hours. Would we create something like this?
Hey, right.
Or would I play Brick Breaker? Or,
yeah, exactly. Ron, what do you think? You want to go paint the pipes in this closet? Like, no, but
they're artists all the time. He was always making. It's just, let's just make stuff, you know. And some of it turned out to be, you know, the stuff that means so much to all of us.
And I love Frank Oz, by the way, and you talking with Frank Oz, and he's just a smart, well-spoken but emotional interview. You're gonna love it if you watch it. But you did a thing with him where it was like a stop motion.
Oh, well, you know, Jim used that style a lot, and all kinds of crazy kinetic, you know, cutting patterns and things like that. And so I did this amazing interview with Frank Oz, and I just had this idea in the back of my mind. And I said, you know, lots of times in documentaries, people walk in and you sit down and you can see him sit in the chair. I said, what if we just did a stop motion of you coming in and sitting down in the chair? And he instantly knew how to do that. It was our first interview, and he did it, and you know, it's kind of this, and then this, and then this, and then he came and he sat down, and we cut the whole thing together, and it looks a little like one of those Sesame Street bits.
Would you want to try to do something like that tonight?
Right with you here?
We could do it live. Could we do it live?
You're a bold man.
We can do it, right? All right.
Okay.
So how many frames would we do?
20,
okay.
25?
All right.
25.
We'll do 25 frames.
Okay.
Okay, and will you... I would always wanted to hear this. Can you just say action?
Okay. All right, get in our first position.
Okay, so first position is like that.
And action.
1, 2, oh, sorry, this will be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, sit down, 24, 25. All right. I don't know, do we do it?
Okay, let's see.
Now, did it work? Did we do it? Let's see what we did in stop motion.
That's what I'm talking about.
Before we show a clip, I wanted to talk about Frank Oz and Jim Henson's the chemistry, the comedy timing.
One of the great comedy teams, right? Because it's not just Bert and Ernie, it's Miss Piggy and Kermit,
Yeah.
right? It's Fozzie Bear
Yes.
and Kermit. And the timing is always impeccable. And when you just think of comedy greats, you know, they're an amazing team.
Are they improvising? Were they
Largely
scripted?
improvising, but no. But they would both say they're not actors. They would both say they can't do voices.
Yeah,
they would
Jim
both
is
say they're not
shy.
performers. Jim's very shy, but he comes. But you know, he's an introvert who becomes an extrovert when he has a puppet on his head.
I want to show everyone a clip. Here's a scene from Ron Howard's documentary, Jim Henson, Idea Man. Take a look.
Ernie, I am not going to play this game.
Angry, right?
Yes, I am angry.
I knew it. Very good. That's one for Ernie.
In the beginning, Frank didn't like Bert. In the beginning, Bert, he felt Bert was too dull.
And then I realized, okay, I'll make the negative a positive. And then I created the character who just wanted to be left alone and read. And that allowed for the comic impulses of Jim to interrupt me.
22. Oh, the red one. 23. 24.
Bert! Cut, Bert!
Ron Howard, everybody! Jim Henson, Idea Man is streaming now on Disney Plus. We'll be right back with more Tonight Show. Stick around.